3 towers rising more than 200 meters lean toward one another like enormous domino pieces. On top of them, a steel structure longer than the Eiffel Tower sits precisely at the height of 55 floors, holding the world's most famous infinity pool. Experts once called this design an unrealistic illusion. Gravity, they said, would never allow such a precarious balance. The inclined towers would generate uncontrollable bending moments. The sky park would twist under its own weight. The pool would drain unevenly or crack the steel frame. But with 5.5 billion and some of the most brilliant engineering minds on the planet, Singapore forced gravity to yield. The result is Marina Bay Sands, a structure that didn't just change a skyline. It redefined what high-rise construction could achieve on soft reclaimed land in a dense urban environment. Singapore needed a new global symbol. The Marina Bay area was being transformed into a financial and tourism hub, and the country wanted to compete directly with entertainment capitals like Macau and Las Vegas. The integrated resort model combining hotels, casinos, convention centers, retail, and cultural attractions had proven wildly profitable elsewhere. Singapore wanted its own version, but one that would outshine all competitors. There was a problem. The entire site was built on reclaimed land, soft marine clay with almost no load-bearing capacity. Any conventional high-rise would sink or tilt within years. The soil had been dredged from the bay floor and pumped into place decades earlier. It was still settling. Engineers knew that building 3 55-story towers on such ground would require unprecedented foundation work. The design made matters worse. Inspired by a deck of cards being shuffled, the 3 towers don't stand vertical. They lean toward one another, widening at their bases, creating a massive atrium space beneath. This means structural loads are no longer transferred straight down into the foundations. Instead, each tower generates large eccentric bending moments, sideways forces that constantly try to pull the structure off balance. This was the most critical structural challenge from the very first sketch. To solve the foundation problem, engineers drilled large diameter board piles, ranging from 1 to 2 meters wide, tens of meters deep through the weak marine clay until they reached stable geological strata, a dense layer of old alluvial soil and weathered rock. More than 5,000 of these piles were installed. Each pile required drilling, steel reinforcement cage placement, and concrete pouring in a continuous operation that could not stop once started. This was one of the largest pile foundation operations ever undertaken on a constrained urban site. At the peak of construction, multiple rigs operated simultaneously, with concrete trucks lined up for blocks. The cast-in-place concrete method was used for the entire tower floor system, with a precisely repeated construction cycle that accelerated progress despite the tight space in central Singapore. Each floor took roughly the same amount of time to complete, a rhythm that allowed workers and equipment to move like a well-oiled machine. But the piles only solved the vertical load problem. The leaning towers created another issue: lateral offset forces that grew with every new floor added. As each tower rose, its own weight generated continuous sideways forces. If not properly controlled, the concrete structure could destabilize itself during construction, a scenario where the dead load of the building would literally pull itself over. Engineers installed temporary bracing systems and pre-stressing cables to hold everything in place. These steel tendons ran through the concrete core, tensioned by hydraulic jacks to counteract the lean. But these were only meant to be temporary. The real solution came at the 23rd floor, where massive link beams were cast to connect the 2 tower wings on each side. These link beams were not ordinary floor slabs. They were deep, heavily reinforced concrete structures designed to transfer horizontal forces from one tower wing to the other. Once those link beams hardened, the inclined loads from the tower bodies were completely transferred to a permanent structural linkage system. The temporary braces could be removed. The towers were now stable and ready for the next phase. At nearly 200 meters above ground, the project faced its greatest challenge: installing a 340-meter-long steel structure weighing 10,000 tons, longer than an aircraft carrier and heavier than the Eiffel Tower's metal framework. Conventional construction methods wouldn't work. You can't build something that size at that height using standard tower cranes. The cranes simply aren't tall enough or strong enough. Helicopters couldn't lift the heaviest components. Engineers needed a completely different approach. They turned to strand jacking technology, a lifting method typically reserved for major bridges and stadium roofs. Strand jacks use bundles of high-strength steel cables threaded through hydraulic cylinders. By pulling the cables in controlled increments, they can lift enormous loads with millimeter precision. The most difficult components were 4 massive box girders, each about 80 meters long and weighing nearly 1,400 tons. These girders had to be lifted from ground level to 200 meters, the height of a 55-story building, without twisting or tilting. The strand jacks lifted them vertically at a painfully slow speed, just a few meters per hour. Each lift lasted for many hours, with the entire system tightly controlled using laser technology and real-time GPS monitoring. Any misalignment could have caused the girder to swing into the tower structure, damaging both the new component and the already built concrete. Winds at that height were also a constant threat. Singapore experiences sudden tropical squalls that can appear without warning. The lifting operations were scheduled around weather forecasts, and the crew had emergency procedures ready in case wind speeds exceeded safe limits. The greatest structural challenge within the Sky Park was the cantilevered observation deck at the northern end. It projects 67 meters outward from Tower 3 with no supporting columns beneath it. That's longer than the wingspan of a Boeing 747. To prevent this enormous steel mass from twisting or overturning, engineers designed counterweight spans weighing hundreds of tons that extend deep back into the tower, creating a lever balance system similar to a seesaw. After multiple lifting operations over several months, the final Sky Park segments were placed into position and connected into a unified structure across all three towers. It was the first time in high-rise construction history that a steel structure comparable in length to an aircraft carrier had been fully assembled at 200 meters within a dense urban environment. Completing the steel frame opened a new engineering challenge. The infinity pool holds up to 1.5 million liters of water, enough to fill an Olympic swimming pool 1.5 times over. This massive weight requires the supporting structure to achieve absolute level alignment. A difference of just a few millimeters would cause water to spill unevenly over the edge, breaking the infinity illusion. But aerodynamic testing revealed a serious problem. Storm-level winds would cause the pool to oscillate. The entire Sky Park flexes slightly under wind loads, a normal behavior for any tall structure. However, the pool's water surface would slosh in response, creating waves that could overtop the edge or damage the glass barrier. Long-term ground settlement would also shift the surface over time. The marine clay beneath the reclaimed land continues to settle, even decades after the piles were driven. Engineers needed a system that could continuously adjust the pool's level. They installed a network of more than 500 hydraulic jacking points directly beneath the pool's supporting frame. Each jack can be adjusted independently, raising or lowering its section of the pool by fractions of a millimeter. A laser leveling system constantly monitors the water surface and commands the jacks to make micro-adjustments in real time. A 5-ton tuned mass damper was added to suppress microvibrations. This device works like a pendulum, swinging in opposition to the building's movement to cancel out oscillations. And a system of pumping stations with underground reservoirs was built to regulate and circulate millions of liters of water, ensuring the infinity effect remains stable despite the building's constant movement. Marina Bay Sands is not just 3 towers and a pool. With a total floor area of 845,000 square meters, roughly the size of 120 football fields, the complex integrates 2,500 hotel rooms, a sprawling casino floor, a convention center capable of hosting 45,000 delegates, a theater with 2,000 seats, and a retail mall with over 800,000 square feet of shopping space. At the base sits the lotus-shaped Art Science Museum, assembled from 5,600 prefabricated steel components with extremely tight erection tolerances. Each petal of the lotus had to be lifted into place and welded with accuracy measured in millimeters. The design team had to resolve complex internal circulation systems, fire safety regulations for such a dense occupancy, and seamless connections to Singapore's underground public transportation, all without disrupting the architectural language of the complex. The result is a building that functions as a small city within a city. Despite the 2008 global financial crisis, which froze credit markets and halted construction projects worldwide, the Marina Bay Sands site maintained its pace. The developer, Las Vegas Sands, bet everything on completion. The entire project was finished in just 3 years. Officially opened in 2010, Marina Bay Sands transformed Singapore's skyline and became the most profitable casino complex in the world, generating billions in annual revenue. But the story isn't over. A 4th tower is now under construction. Also designed by architect Moshe Safdie, this 55-story structure features a twisted form that leans forward at approximately 45 degrees, an even more aggressive angle than the original 3 towers. This lean creates entirely new engineering challenges in controlling eccentric center of gravity and managing load distribution. At its top sits a next-generation Sky Park with 2 levels, integrating restaurants, sky gardens, private cabanas, and a wellness deck designed as a cantilevered structure projecting boldly outward. At its base, a 15,000-seat entertainment arena features a long-span, column-free structural system, the largest of its kind in Southeast Asia. The complexity has pushed the estimated cost from $3.3 billion to nearly $8 billion. This expansion is not simply about more floor area. It is a strategic move for Singapore to maintain its competitive advantage against Macau, Dubai, and Las Vegas in the global luxury tourism race. From a stretch of soft marine clay beneath the bay floor, rising into a structure that seems to bend the limits of gravity itself, and now continuing its transformation with an $8 billion megaproject, Marina Bay Sands stands as the ultimate proof that in structural engineering, no physical boundary is truly beyond the reach of the boldest ideas. Will the fourth twisting tower become a masterpiece that elevates Singapore's skyline to a new level, or will its asymmetry disrupt the near-perfect proportions of the original three towers? That debate is just beginning. If you want to explore more stories about the world's most ambitious engineering projects, from gravity-defying towers to desert canals, from underwater tunnels to floating cities, subscribe to Quit Tech Process. We go beneath the surface, decode the engineering, and reveal how impossible structures become reality. Hit subscribe. Join the journey. The next engineering gamble is already under construction.